Alright, everybody. Looks like we're back here for the second match with Mardu Pyromancer. Let's go ahead and say yes to the die roll because we won it. We want to play first. Man, we just have not been great here with our opening sevens, right? Unfortunately, if this had a Faithless Looting, I might consider it because we have a good amount of cheap interaction. But I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this hand. Wow. I think I'm actually going to go to 5 here. We don't function too well on one land. I'm actually going to keep Lingering Souls. It's a value pitch. Let's go ahead and discard these two and say go. Obviously not a great spot here, but if we're up against a grindy deck and we don't, or I guess if we're up against a grinding deck, Moldify is going to be pretty rough, right? So hopefully we're up against a deck that are the cards that we draw from here on out will be enough. Hopefully our opponent is not the mirror. The mirror match could be quite rough for us. Thoughtseize. Yeah, this looks to me like Marsh Flats, Thoughtseize, Swamp, probably the mirror match. Blood Moon, huh? That's... Well, let's just get a Lingering Souls out, start clocking our opponent. If this is the mirror, then Lingering Souls is a great card in the matchup. And again, I'm going to hold on to this Collective Brutality in case it is the mirror, in which case I would like to kill a young Pyromancer if necessary. It looks like we are up against the mirror. And they're going to go ahead and Faithless Looting here. Fatal Push Mountain. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and attack first in case our opponent's sitting on a Fatal Push. What's going to be really awkward here is that if our opponent has a Blood Moon in hand, I might actually have to Thoughtseize it or Inquisition it away. Wow, and they do have the Blood Moon, they have the Reveler, they have the K command. Wow. Yeah, that's really awkward, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the Blood Moon. That always feels so bad. That just feels so bad. If they cut us off of black mana for the rest of the game, they're going to be at a massive advantage here. So obviously, young Pyromancer here, dies to Collective Brutality, which they know about. So they don't necessarily have to play it. This is one of those times where Blood Moon is not a good Magic card. And so I don't want to go ahead and Collective Brutality right into my opponent's K command. Let's see how many you have. 1, 2, 3 instants and sorceries. K command would put 4 in there. So I imagine they're going to kill one, make me discard. I'll happily discard a Blood Moon. Them getting rid of their K command that way obviously means they're building towards a Reveler. That's hopefully not coming down next turn, but if it is, it's not the end of the world. That's them discarding 2 cards, drawing 3. Which is not the best. But here, looks like they probably can get value off of their young Pyromancer at this point. If they go ahead and choose to play it out. Thoughtseize. Wow. That's actually a really good draw. I'm going to go ahead and swing for 1 first. See what our opponent does here. Hopefully they don't have a second Reveler. This is one of those scenarios where, like, aggressively playing out the collective, the Kolaghan's command. Right, so they don't know that I have a Thoughtseize lined up here for their Bedlam Reveler. So them using all their resources like this is really good for us. Obviously, great draw. If we can fade one more turn, maybe find a land, we could crawl our way back into this game. Find a Bedlam Reveler. The game's definitely not over. They do have Faithless Looting. Fetching up a basic Plains kind of feels to me like they maybe drew a Blood Moon here, which would be pretty rough. But, okay, looks like it's just Faithless Looting. Just Faithless Looting is still pretty good for them, right? Makes a token, filters their draw. Now let's see what they discard. Might give us an idea of what they kept in their hand. So they discarded another Looting in a Swamp. They got the Inquisition. That's so good here. All right, it's going to be kind of an uphill battle here. If we can find a removal spell for this Young Pyromancer, we might be able to crawl back in with like a Lingering Souls, but at this point, we're pretty far behind. So here, let's go ahead and get a Swamp. Flashback Faithless Looting. Probably discarding this Blood Moon and some other card that we see. Let's see, what's our graveyard at right now? We're at 1, 2, 3. Wow. I mean, I think we're forced to keep this Bedlam Reveler, but things aren't looking good here. We would need like a looting. Even a looting wouldn't, like looting, because then we don't even have double red, right? So it's possible that getting the Swamp was a mistake, that at this point we just can't beat Blood Moon, and we just go ahead and play to drawing a Faithless Looting, which draws 2 more Faithless Lootings or other instants and sorceries, which would put a total of 6, which would let us cast Bedlam Reveler. So I'm going to feel a little silly if that's what ends up happening, but it's something to keep in mind maybe for the next match here. All right, looks like we're going to go down to 7. Don't think we really have any reasonable outs at this point. It's possible I even was supposed to fetch with that I guess it was a Bloodstained Mire. Wow. I'm going to feel like a real idiot if this ends up happening. No. I don't think there's any reasonable way we make it back from here, so I'm just going to go ahead and scoop it up. Save ourselves some time here. So for this matchup, Leyline of the Void is fantastic. So is Liliana the Last Hope. Engineering Explosives is reasonable. Wear Tear is reasonable for opposing ley lines, so I can consider putting in 1. And Cumball is also not bad, but we'll see. Yeah, Cumball's pretty good actually. It's good if our opponent tries to chain a bunch of removal spells. Dreadbore and Terminate are able to kill the big boy, Bedlam Reveler. So I think in this matchup you actually want to trim some number of Fatal Pushes. So it kills Young Pyromancer, but that's about it. And I think you also want to trim some number of Inquisitions, like 3 probably. You really don't want to play that kind of game against your opponent here, especially when you're bringing in things like Leyline, Liliana, Engineer Explosives, Wear Tear, and 2 Cumballs. Whoops. Let's go ahead and reconsider. Do we want Molten Rains? Probably not. They're not that great in this matchup. We don't want Blood Moons. And I think this is a reasonable configuration. Again, Wear Tear is just kind of a hedge towards opposing Leyline. We don't want to be too soft to that, but we also don't want to just lose to it, right? I think this is a reasonable sideboard plan here. So let's go ahead and say submit. Yeah, let's go ahead and play first. Oh, basic plans. Jeez, yeah, I guess. Hopefully we don't get hit by a Leyline on turn 0. Oh my gosh, yeah. These are one of those matchups where they're so swingy. Like turn 1 Leyline, such a huge difference than the person who doesn't. This is how I lost the matchup against Self-Seek way back when. We could take the Thoughtseize here. We could just also take the Young Pyromancer. I think that's what we want to do here. And hopefully we draw into our Wear and Tear that can handle this Leyline. Our opponent here had a pretty good opening 7. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but this feels like it's going to be a very one-sided matchup. Well, I guess we can play it to kind of keep impeding our opponent. We could take the looting, just slow him down here. Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable take here. I mean, we could take the Terminate because it does answer a Young Pyromancer pretty efficiently. But our hope is our opponent just draws a bunch of lands for a while. and we draw. So we got immediately punished for our play. I'm going to go ahead and just wait on that. Wait on actually maybe getting some value with my young Pyromancer. Yep. Let's see, they probably get a Sacred Foundry here. Oh, just a Plains? Do they still have Blood Moon in their deck? I think that's probably incorrect, but what do I know? If they're shocking here, they're probably going to flashback Faithless Looting. Or not. Maybe they have Kolaghan's Command. If they have Kolaghan's Command, we may want to consider keeping a card in our hand here. Yeah, if they have Kolaghan's Command as a third card, that's actually going to line up really well for them, because they can play Shock, Blood Crypt, play Young Pyromancer that they got off of their K-Command, and then also have Terminate up for our Young Pyromancer. It looks like this is probably a Kolaghan's Command. I can't imagine our opponent waiting on our turn like this for any other reason. Yeah. So it's happening exactly as we didn't want it to. So here, I imagine my opponent will go Young Peasy. Yep. If they have a 1-mana discard spell to pair with this, did they already play their Blood Crypt? Maybe I got their hand wrong. So 2 Young Pyromancers here. Actually, not bad. If we can draw an instant or sorcery spell here, we might be able to win the Young Pyromancer battle, but I think it's a little unlikely. Mostly because our opponent has both a Looting and a Terminate. And I think they'll be incentivized to use the Terminate. Oh, wow, they have Fatal Push. Jeez. So, I don't want to take off this Blood Crypt because I think it might still be in their hand, but I could be wrong. Wow, and they have the Bolt. Jeez. Ugh. Yeah, we're going to lose this game probably the same way we lost last one. If we draw like a Liliana the Last Hope, it might be a game. Wow, and then that still gets eaten by Terminate, but obviously we still have to play it out here. But I think our opponent is going to be the victor in the mirror here, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and terminate. It's possible that Thoughtseize for the Faithless Looting was incorrect. I mean, our opponent drew like gas off the top, but it's still possible that was incorrect. So we go down to 11, Blood Crypt. I guess we keep it in our hand for Faithless Looting, but obviously it gets punished by a Kolaghan's Command. We'll go down to 6 here. Our opponent gonna filter their draws here. They're up on cards, up on board presence, up in graveyard battles. They're gonna shock here? No. So I'm at the point where if I draw Engineer Explosives, I might just have to EE for 0, just because these elemental tokens are presenting more damage. Yep, unfortunately we had a series of rough mulligans, rough draws, and rough beats, but that's how this game works sometimes, and at least the Mardu Pyromancer player won this match, right? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to concede this match up here, and stay tuned for the third match with Mardu Pyromancer coming up in just a second. I'll see you guys soon.